In the previous video, we built the foundations of our workbook. We organized the business data into separate worksheets, created Excel tables, introduced unique ID codes, and used drop-down lists to improve data accuracy. Today, we're going to examine the heart of the workbook, the Enquiry worksheet. This worksheet allows anyone in the business to find information about a child or parent quickly, without searching manually through several different worksheets. Without an Enquiry screen, you would have to search through those worksheets individually. That's slow, inefficient, and open to mistakes. The Enquiry worksheet does the searching for us. Searching by child ID or child name. So, our Enquiry worksheet starts by giving users two choices. Search for child by child's ID or by child's name. Whichever method they use, Excel resolves the search to the correct ID for that child. That child ID then becomes the key used by all the other formulas on the worksheet. This gives us the best of both approaches. The user searches in the most natural way, using a name. But behind the scenes, Excel works with the more reliable unique idea. Suppose the user enters the name Adam McCarthy. Excel searches the children worksheet, finds Adam McCarthy, and returns their child ID. Once the child ID has been identified, every other part of the Enquiry screen can use it. The child ID acts like the central connection point. It links the child to their personal details, parent, attendance, invoices, payments, medication records, and incidents. One search starts the entire process. Whenever we need to find information in dynamic tables, the XLOOKUP function will normally always do the job. For older Excel versions, lookup, index, include, match might be required. The job of the XLOOKUP is to search for one value and return related information from the matching record. If records are added, deleted, or sorted, it recalculates itself automatically. Let's examine one example in detail. We want to retrieve the child's name from the children worksheet. The XLOOKUP formula has three main arguments. First, the lookup value. This is the child ID selected on the Enquiry worksheet. Second, the lookup array. This is the child ID column on the children worksheet. XLOOKUP searches down this column until it finds the child ID it is looking for. Third, the return array. This is the child name column. When XLOOKUP finds C0003, the child ID it is looking for in the child ID column, it returns the child's name from the same row. So the function is effectively saying, find this child. ID, search for it in the children worksheet, and return the matching child's name. The same principle is then used to retrieve the child's date of birth, room, start date, allergy information, medical plan requirement, and permission form status. Also, once we have the child ID, we can use it to get the parent ID in the children's table. We then use that parent ID in the parent table to bring back the parent's name and details. We don't need to explain every XLOOKUP separately, only the return column changes. The job remains exactly the same. Please notice that we aren't copying the child's details onto the Enquiry worksheet. The information remains stored in the children worksheet. The Enquiry screen simply retrieves it. If Adam's room changes, we update it once in the children worksheet. The Enquiry screen then displays the new room automatically. The same applies to parent contact details and every other piece of information. Store the information once, use it everywhere. That avoids duplication and creates one reliable source of truth. Finding information is only part of the job. Sometimes the business needs to count records. For example, how many days has this child been present? That's a job for COUNTIFs function. Let's look at its arguments one by one. The first argument is the first criteria range. This is the child ID column in the attendance worksheet. The second argument is the first criterion. This is the selected child ID. So Excel checks the attendance records and keeps only the rows belonging to this child. The third argument is the second criteria range. This is the attendance status column. The fourth argument is the second criterion. In this example, the word present. The function is therefore saying, count the records in attendance worksheet where the child ID matches the selected child and where the attendance status is present. It only counts a record when both conditions are true. We use the same method to count absent days, sick days, and holidays. The child ID condition stays the same, only the attendance status changes. Let's say we want to know, how much has this child been invoiced for? We're no longer counting records, we're adding amounts. That's a job for the SUMIFS function. This function begins with the sum range. That is what values will we be adding together. This is the invoice amount column. It contains the values we want Excel to add together. The next argument is the criteria range. This is the child ID column in the invoices worksheet. The final argument is the criterion. This is the selected child ID from the Enquiry worksheet. So the formula is saying, look through the invoice records, find every invoice belonging to this child, and add the invoice amounts together. We use the same principle to calculate total payments. This time, the sum range is the payment amount column, and the criteria range is the child ID column in the payments worksheet. The result gives us total invoiced, total paid, and by subtracting one from the other, the outstanding balance. The outstanding balance is useful, but a number alone doesn't always explain the situation clearly. The user needs a meaningful payment status. Is the account paid in full? Has no payment been made? Is it part paid? Or is it overdue? The powerful versatile if function will help us here. The basic if function has 3 arguments. First, the logical test. This is the question Excel must answer. For example, is the outstanding balance less than or equal to 0? Second, the value if true. If the answer is yes, Excel displays paid in full. Third, the value if false. If money is still outstanding, Excel continues checking the other possibilities. In our workbook, several IF functions work together. First, Excel checks whether the balance is 0. If it is, the status is paid in full. If not, Excel checks whether any payment has been made. If no payment has been received, the status is no payment. If a payment has been made, Excel checks whether an invoice is overdue. If it is, the status becomes overdue. Otherwise, the account is part paid. If takes the numbers produced by the other formulas and translates them into a clear business message. The summary section above answers individual questions, but sometimes the user needs to see the actual records. For example, they may want to view every attendance entry for the selected child. This is where filter becomes useful. Filter has 3 main arguments. First, the array. This is the complete set of attendance records we may want to return. Second, the include argument. This tells Excel which rows to keep. In our example, Excel checks whether the child ID in each attendance record matches the selected child ID. Rows that match are returned. Rows that don't match are left out. Third, the optional if empty argument. This tells Excel what to display if no matching records exist. In our workbook, it displays no records. The result is a live list containing only the attendance records for the selected child. The same method is used for invoices, payments, medication records, and incidents. Here we have wrapped the filter in the take function. This limits the filter to return only the last 10 records. Now the filter function retrieves the correct records, but they may not appear in the most useful order. That's why sort works alongside filter. Sort takes the filtered result and arranges it by a chosen column. The first argument is the array to sort. In our case, this is the result produced by filter. The second argument identifies the column used for sorting. The third argument determines the direction. A value of -1 sorts the records in descending order. That places the newest records at the top, so filter decides which records should appear. Sort decides the order in which they appear. Together they create a clean, up-to-date history for the selected child. Filter and sort also solve another important problem. Some parents might have more than one child using the Childminding service. Suppose we search for a parent. The worksheet can display every child connected to that parent ID. Filter checks the children worksheet and keeps only the records where the parent ID matches the selected parent. Sort then arranges the resulting list. The user can immediately see each child's ID, name, and room. This is a good example of information being connected without duplicating it. The relationship already exists through the parent ID Excel, simply uses that relationship to produce the answer. Let's step back and look at what's happening. The user enters a child's name. XLOOKUP resolves the correct child ID and retrieves the child and parent details. COUNT-IFs counts attendance records and overdue invoices. SUM-IFs calculates invoice and payment totals. IF converts the financial results into a clear payment status. Filter retrieves the detailed records. Sort places those records into a useful order. Each function has one specialist job, but the real power comes from using them together. XLOOKUP finds. COUNT-IFs counts. SUM-IFs totals. IF decides. Filter extracts. Sort organizes. Together, they transform separate worksheets into one simple inquiry screen. Looking ahead, we've now built the inquiry worksheet. It answers detailed questions about an individual child or parent. In the next lesson, we'll move from individual records to the business as a whole. We'll examine the dashboard and see how Excel transforms hundreds of records into key figures, summaries, and charts. The inquiry screen helps staff answer specific questions. The dashboard helps management see the bigger picture.
Whether you're looking to improve your own Excel skills or train an entire team, we've built a practical course for real-world Excel users. Our 6-level online program takes learners from beginner to advanced and now includes using Excel with AI, ensuring every skill level is covered. For businesses and universities, we support groups from 3 users to over 1,000. Managers can track progress, monitor results, and see team performance in real time. Course levels include online exams, and learners who achieve 75% receive an automatically generated CPD-certified Excel certificate. Individual and corporate group licenses available. Learn Excel. Work faster.